Hello and welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time, my name's John. Recently I watched a video where two Americans talked about having children. They both had very different views about having children. One was a woman who identified herself as a lesbian and being childless by choice. She didn't want to have children. The other was a man who was highly religious, who had already had 5 children and saw children as gifts from God. So, very different ideas from each other. In the video, they took turns asking each other questions. In the description box below, there's a link, so if you would like to see the video, please watch it. I'm going to talk about 2 questions that they asked each other. One that the man asked the woman and one that the woman asked the man. And also an observation that I had from the video. The first question that the man asked the woman was, what do you think about large families? What do you think about large families? In the video, you can see her reaction. My answer to that question is, it depends on the culture and the time and the beliefs of different people. So for one person, what is a large family is something different from another person. So if I think about my family, when my mother and father were growing up, they each had more than 4 siblings, so they came from very large families. But they were growing up in the 1930s in the UK, and it was very natural at that time for large families. Most families were fairly large. I grew up in the 1960s and 70s, and I had 2 siblings, a brother and a sister. So our family was 5 people, my parents, my 2 siblings and me. And for that time, the late 1960s and early 1970s, that was a usual size for a family in Britain. The culture had changed from large families to smaller families. Now, I am childless, and my brother and sister are also childless, which I think is a little bit unusual for all of us to be childless. But in society now, childlessness is not so uncommon. It's become part of society. So, I think that the size of the family depends on the time, the culture, the religion. There are many, many factors, and it's constantly changing. How do you feel about family size? The next question I'm going to look at is the first question that the woman asked the man. She asked, nearly 30% of young adults consider climate before deciding to have children. How does that make you feel? I thought this question was very strange. Who is this 30% of young adults? Is it young adults in America? Is it young adults in the West? Is it young adults in first world countries? Is it young adults all around the world? I don't know. And I tend not to believe it, because there are so many cultures and religions and different beliefs that it's hard to imagine that 30% of young adults consider climate change when considering having children. It seems strange to me. So, I tend not to believe it. But I do believe that in certain cultures, in certain groups, people do consider climate change. But in other groups, absolutely they don't. What do you think? Again, if you want to see the man's reaction, please watch the video. One thing that really interested me in the video was that both the woman and the man felt that there was social pressure on them. The woman felt strong social pressure to have children from her family and friends and her society, whereas the man felt social pressure not to have any more children, again from society. Society was pressuring him not to have more children. So it seems that whatever society you're in, whatever culture you are in, there is a lot of pressure for you to follow a certain guideline as to how many children you should have or what the size of your family should be. Again, how do you feel about this situation? Please take a look at the video. There are some other questions that they ask each other. It's a very interesting video. And please think about these questions yourself. For those of you who are taking my lesson this week, we'll talk about this subject. So please think about your answers to these questions. If you're not taking my class this week, still, please think about it. And if you want to put some comments below or ask some questions below, please feel free to do that. もしこのビデオが気に入ったら、いいねをお願いします。Thank you very much for watching today. See you next time. Bye for now.